Hey everybody, and welcome to another Binary Ninja live stream. I am Jordan. So I'm going to try a few different things this week, so bear with me if we'll see if it works out. We are going to be not doing the typical stream this time, so we're going to start. We're going to do an overview of the week. We're going to go ahead and jump in, get caught up in the week, and then I'm going to try to do like more of an introduction, like beginning of Binary Ninja tutorial usage. And actually, if Fox sends me that binary, I might just use that one. I was originally going to look at there's a couple of tutorials online people have written up for other reverse engineering tools. I was going to kind of recreate it, sort of show the differences of like how you would do something in Adder Geeter and how you might do it in Binary Ninja. It's just like a good introductory tutorial. One of the things we get asked about a lot is like, where's like the how-to, the onboarding things. And so hopefully we can turn this into something like that. Without any further ado, let's get on over to this week's, this is me looking at the different tutorials. All right, here's our updates. This has been actually a pretty busy week. There's been a fair amount of builds, although a couple of Binary Ninja builds stalled out because we changed, we changed our company name several years ago, and Apple, it took them a while to update it. So there were a couple, like 2 days where the builds were getting pushed, but they weren't actually getting pushed out because the CI wasn't succeeding because of some Apple notarization. But that's all resolved, so we've gotten a couple of builds out last night and today. So let's look over what changed, just kind of for the regulars. This is a pretty big one that Brian changed. So this is the way the symbol system works in Binary Ninja. It used to be, it just wouldn't let you make two symbols with the same name. So the Peter added on like the symbol namespace API, so you could have different namespaces to kind of help separate things out. But even within the same namespace, you still couldn't have two symbols with the same name. Depending on the situation, like so maybe you want to just make two symbols with the same name, or maybe you want to load some imports or a PDB or dwarf information, then you also want to use that symbol and kind of you do something else later on. So it was a little bit annoying that you had to do that. So that's fixed now. It's a really nice change. But there may be some rough edges. We might need to find APIs that we need to kind of continue to tweak and stuff. So if you're using the API, definitely let us know. But from the UI, you shouldn't see a whole lot of difference unless you were, like I said, using symbols that were duplicates. Also, multiple symbols at the same address too, right? You used to only have one symbol at one location. So that was another nice change that came with that. Was a good one there. Here was like the world's smallest change that I literally moved one line of code. And so this is the way it used to look in the tag system. But you'll notice if we look at the tags tab now, it's tags, then tag types, then bookmarks, which just makes a lot more sense. Bookmarks, if you don't already know about them, I'm kind of getting ahead to like the intro section, but you can, is it Control Shift 1 or Control 1? Yeah. Oh yeah, there it is. Oh, bookmarked. I'm foolish. Okay, yeah, so I didn't sleep much last night. It was a short night. So I'm going to make a lot of mistakes on stream. I promise you right now, it's already going to be a mistake-filled stream. Yeah, exactly, piston miner. That's the kind of thing I'm thinking of. Like, we'll just take a really simple task, and I'll talk to you every hotkey. I'll talk about different ways of doing the same thing, and show off the different UI elements. That's kind of the goal of what I'm looking at. Right, so here, it's Control is the one to go to bookmark. It's bookmarks. So now I see all my hotkeys, and Control Alt. There we go. Right, so if I'm, I've navigated away somewhere, and I hit Control Alt 1. That's a hotkey for my window manager, and so it won't work very well. All right, so I'm going to cheat and do it a different way. It's not going to be as fun, but we're going to set bookmark 1. You can see, so this address now has the bookmark, and I can navigate somewhere else, and then I can go to bookmark 1. Actually, Control 1 should work. So yeah, I can navigate there with Control 1. Yes, I'm talking about like tutorial resources to put on YouTube. The new user onboarding startup, like on the start page, where we first load the product, is actually the way I would like to do that. My sort of goal is instead of like a video kind of onboarding thing, like I mean a lot of websites do that, right? Where they'll highlight the cursor to move it around, which would be kind of nifty. But I actually think the more interesting onboarding new user kind of plugin would actually be one that lets you sort of start Binary Ninja with a bunch of different defaults. I would like to have somebody say like, I want it to feel like Ghidra, and it would like the window layouts and the hotkeys would feel more like Ghidra. And somebody else would say, I want it to look and feel more like IDA. So the hotkeys and the window layouts would look more like IDA, move the feature map to the top. And, so like when you start it up, you could choose which sort of default style or theme or whatever that you wanted. And then there would be a mode of that would actually be like, I'm a newbie, you teach me, like I want to learn reverse engineering. And the cool thing about that is I think that we would want to really show people the ways that workflows with Binary Ninja. All right, so that would be like use the command palette everywhere. Like try to get people in the habit of using the command palette and then learning hotkeys and showing them how both they can, like what, if you learn the command palette and actually, yeah, go to bookmarks is a great example, right? Going to the bookmark, it's showing me the hotkeys, right? As I learn that action. So I'm learning the hotkeys kind of as I go, thinking through like, we can sort of like do a kind of a new like interaction thing, a different way of doing it. We intentionally kind of wanted Binary Ninja to feel fairly similar to existing RE tools when we made it. Yeah, GameMind custom layouts. I brought that up this week. Actually, I don't know if I know I posted that. I decided like I have my preferred like layout now for RE that I really like. So let me pull it up again. Show reflection. Yeah, named window layouts would be really nice. And not Python console. I want, where'd it go? So I want Python console down here. I want reflection over here. Yeah, I'm going to bring this one down. And then there's one other little trick, which is in your preferences, you can actually turn off. So like these little toolbars on the log window, the Python console, you can actually turn those off. So Brian added this thing. You can't navigate as easily. Yeah, Piston Miner, that's a really good way to frame it, right? Like learning Binary Ninja versus versus learning reverse engineering. I think those are, related. Maybe you want to learn Binary Ninja and RE at the same time, but maybe you just want to learn Binary Ninja. You already know RE. And I think it's important to kind of care about both. So I can actually shrink that. Yeah, with the docs gone, or with the titles gone, so it's just a little bit kind of tighter. I get a little bit more screen real estate. I can't resize things or as easily. I don't remember I think there's a way to like, you can undock it and then move it back. I don't know. There may still be ways to do that, but I like this view. I think it's just a little bit cleaner. And actually, it's one of the things that somebody pointed out to me this week was that they didn't even know about the reflection view, right? The side-by-side kind of view. So I am also looking forward to some of these UI changes coming with 3.0. Yeah, Brian, that's true. I can resize, but I can't like move, right? Like if I want to take, I can. You're right. I just got to like grab them a little more carefully. Oh, that's clean. So I can grab there. And if I grab the very bottom pixel, I did it once. Yeah, I did it. Is it there? No, I did it at one point. There we go. There's like this one pixel where you can grab it and then you can like redock it. But I just like the look so much better. It's a really nice feature. So here's kind of like my default layout that I think I like now. And then this one, like same thing. I assume I can move. If I get the right pixel, I can move this dock entry too. But yeah, it's usually, I just turn it back on usually. Yeah, right click undock and then redock. That's not going to be easy though with my window manager because I've got this tiled window manager. It's gonna be not as good. So GameMind, yeah, all that was like a long digression into, I wholeheartly agree. I would love to have like, save this one as like, side by side. I'd like to have like a full screen one. Like I'll turn on everything off on all of the docs. So like close feature map, hide symbols, hide bookmarks. Actually, I think I can do it through here or view. Yeah, I can do it from the view menu. So I'll hide all the docs, hide cross references, hide log. I'll just turn everything off because I want to like take just one really clean screenshot of like some HLL or something, for example. So yeah, Piston Miner, the main reason is because I don't like use this VM for anything but the stream. So like if I actually lived in it for a week or so, like I would be a lot more comfortable with like the hotkeys and stuff. But I also kind of really like that it's just a pristine VM and it's just for this. It's a really fast distro. And I like the lack of native window Chrome. Like so it just maximizes the the screen real estate. So it's just on me for like not learning the hotkeys a little bit more and playing with them. Yeah, I don't know what happened when I clicked the spinner up here, Brian. What is that? Why don't you tell people in the chat what that is? Like, look at this. Oh, what was that? This now is clickable. So this is a little reload icon here. So the spoiler is that I think, was that actually in our list of, I don't think that was in the list of closed issues, was it? No, I don't think it was. But you can reload analysis for a function using that little subtle icon right up there. So one of the things that reanalyze current function, we've had epic battles internally about how many elements belong in the right click menu, how many belong in submenus, how, nested we make it. And, some of them maybe we can move to other places that are a little more natural. So yeah, there's always a spot here where there was a spinner. If the function was currently being analyzed or updated, it was a big function, you'd see it kind of spinning there like while it was happening. But one of the downsides was it would like appear and disappear, and like, moving things around like that is kind of not great UI. It's better if things are generally fixed, that way your muscle memory, it's like always there. So Fox, if a graph view is not available, usually it's because the function's too big, or if you like open it in certain analysis modes, it basically just can't create a function there. So yeah, there's a couple of different like sort of safety checks that are built into it. Max, I think, is probably defined. So like max function size. Is there a max basic block? I don't think there are. There's a couple of like limits. Or actually, it's a whole section of analysis limits. That's even easier. Analysis limits, right? So so the function analysis time, like if it times out on a function, the function's too big. Max function update count is a little interesting. So there's certain things that may cause you to reanalyze a function, like a function that calls another function that calls back into that function. Maybe the type of information changes, or there's a lot of like interrelated analyses that happen. And so internally, Binary Ninja can kick off multiple updates of function where it's like, oh yeah, I need to reanalyze that function again. It goes back into the analysis queue. But it's possible that you can have like this infinite loop of analysis. That we would try to be really good about detecting them, but not doing that. And so this is our sort of like heuristic of like, look, we've hit this thing 100 times. We're gonna not analyze that function anymore. If you want to analyze something that was really malicious and or you want to be like minimize the chance that something goes bad or speed things up, you can make that smaller. But then you might miss some legitimate, just complicated functions that have lots of relationships and stuff. Yeah, Piston, I know you were one of the folks arguing for the reanalyzed function. I was on the other side of it, and I still think fundamentally, like if you're using reanalyzed function a lot, it's kind of signifies bugs, and we'd rather fix them. But if that's the current workflow, we don't want to totally break it. So yeah. So anyways, if you hit this max update count, it's something's bad. Like if you hit that, that's probably not legit, and so you could even crank that down and probably get a little bit more speed out of it. And so this just catches and detects and says, look, I'm not going to analyze this function anymore. So there's a lot of these limits on analysis that will trigger. And when you hit one of these, Fox, that'll trigger the like, hey, I can't graph this. It's not a function. I just have some bytes of disassembly, right? So it'll do that. And I think there's a limit that's not actually a setting, which is literally like the number of basic blocks in a function. I'm not positive on that. I'd have to go check the source, or maybe if Ryan or the other folks knows off the top of their head. Yeah, I know, Piston. That's why that was Brian's argument as well, and that's why it's back. In fact, again, it's back and easier than ever because you can not only hit that UI element, but you can also get the right click menu, and again, like any action, you could bind it to a hotkey, right? So you can go to your settings, and I'm going around all around, but back to our like intro topics. If you're new to Binary Ninja, if you hit Control-Shift-B or Command-Shift-B, so Command and Control, Command and Mac, Control and Windows, mostly synonymous. There's like one or two examples I could think of where they're different, but it's almost always just a straight mapping. But B for bindings, key bindings, because K is cut or something probably. What is K actually? Is K one of the OS ones? I don't know. What is Control K? Let's see. What does it do? Glenn, why didn't you use no, Control K doesn't do anything. But bindings are B. I guess it's just B for bindings. I don't see it. No, I don't think we have a Control K. Nope. There's no Control K. So you could take in K. Control B is the hotkey for key bindings. Brings up this menu, unless you find things. So anyways, if you wanted to, for example, take anything, these are all those, I sorted by key bindings, so I would see all the key bindings up top. But if you want any action in the command palette, so when you hit Control P, reanalyze function, reanalyze the whole binary, reanalyze the current function, those we can map via here. So we can just start typing, reanalyze, filter down, and then we can double click and set that key binding. So I think I have, for example, I don't think you can search for at user, can you? No, but the ones that are default, I think they show up differently. Like actually, here's a good example. This is one I've changed, right? So the default is there is no binding on patch convert to NOP, and I've got that mapped to delete. So I could use that there. And that's a cool little superpower. So if you're browsing in high-level IL view and you see a call, you can hit delete on it, and it literally just deletes the call to the function. Yeah, John, I want those Vim bindings. I agree. Yeah, well, that's gonna require a refactor, I think, because like the modal type stuff, right? You can do some of them. Like, I've got a little bit of like navigation, so I've got a GIST floating around. I can link in Slack that actually maps the key bindings in Vim mode, so you can like JK to go up and down. And it actually works really well too in graph mode. So if you're in graph mode, let's get more interesting graph. You can, I don't think there's a binding for it by default, but in my Vim ones, I actually have like Shift J, do block-based navigation. So you can just have it automatically go down to the end of the next block, and then you can choose like which branch to follow, and then just like you can quickly sort of like walk through blocks on the binary. And it actually, that's again goes back to that sort of like new user, you know, example things that I'd like to be able to do is I want to be able to like offer Vim bindings like out of the box. I think that would be kind of nifty. All right, what else happened this week? Let's see. Small API got added. The PDB plugin can now do some new things. We've got our symbols being doubled up. This is, I think, oh, it was a couple old bugs that kind of just got closed out. A couple bugs and analysis. This again is related to the symbols being able to be at the same address as well as having the same symbol. More PDB stuff. Yep, there it is as well. So yeah, I think Brian got like 6 commits or 6 fixes with that one bug. So that one feature that was really, really nice. All right, so I think that's the kind of the update of the week. Anything else I'm missing? All right, cool. So I think now we're gonna pick an entry-level binary, and we're gonna not bin ls. We'll work on that. Oh, I didn't actually. Is there a wait? Do high-level arrays land? I didn't even look at that. Did that actually land this week? Double loading bar. You guys need to make an issue for that and close it. That's why I told you that. You got to make the issue and close it. But Josh pulled over the commit where. So right now, if you open up a is it just BNDBs or is it any file? I forget. So if you open up a BNDB or, no, that was just too fast. I need like a bigger, more complicated binary. Do I have like Zool sitting around? I do. Stream binaries libzool. All right, so this will be slow. That'd be too slow. Yeah, I'll grab that screenshot and I'll drag it in here because that is a good screenshot. Let's see. I think I might have it. Yeah, we'll pull that in. All right, here is the new look for arrays, and make sure my camera is not covering anything here. So this is a sort of a before and after. Again, this is not yet on dev. It is something that's being worked on, but hopefully before too long, you'll be able to get this. This does not like automatically identify and create these arrays, right? So it's not like it's just going to magically create arrays for all your structures, but you can have arrays of structs in your type information. You can create them. I know, yeah. So this will be super, super nice, and it is very close. Rusty's cranking away on it, so that's going to be a great improvement. I mean, just yeah, you can see already just looking at these little tests like how much cleaner that is. So that's going to be super nice. Again, I mean, that, you know, like the type system already supported this, I think. Did it? Actually, wait. Yeah, I think it did it? And then it's just the UI that changed? I don't know. Somebody else will correct me if I'm wrong on that, but that should be nice. So no promises on a date, but it is close enough to take screenshots, right? So you should have something on dev, hopefully, before too long. Looking forward to getting that in y'all's hands. All right, what else? Oh yeah, and then of course the double loading is essentially, it was just kind of a minor issue where if you opened a really big file opened a really big BNDB, it would open the progress dialog twice, and Glenn had fixed that up, and Josh cherry-picked his commit from another branch. They're working on the collaboration server stuff that we showed off last week. Was it last week? I think it was last week. All right, yeah, let's get to the... Man, every time I do this and kind of like bounce around on topics, it's really hard when I'm making timestamps afterwards. I go back and I watch the video, and I'm trying to like, you know, timestamp where different sections start and stop, and it's like, I mean, I kind of talked about a lot of stuff. How do you pick one? Maybe I should be a little more organized, but that's not how I roll. So we're on 2738. All right, let's talk about like, say you've run. Actually, do we have anybody in the chat who's new to Binary Ninja this week? I should have put out a call on Twitter and see if there were folks that were interested and had them join. I know we've got definitely some regulars in here. Also, Fox, I'm gonna double check. If you do find that binary or that name, let me know and I'll see if I can pull that one up. Otherwise, yeah, that's for like an active CTF. I don't want to open that binary. No spoilers for, I mean, I guess even the file name is technically a minor spoiler, but that's all right. File would tell you that too. Excellent. Welcome, Ryan. Glad to hear it. Good. All right, so Ryan, you are a perfect candidate. We're hoping to have some new folks. Now, are you new to reverse engineering or are you just new to Binary Ninja? Because that's kind of one of the things that we were talking about earlier in the stream is like, you know, there's slightly different ways you would introduce just reverse engineering or reverse engineering with Binary Ninja, or if you already knew RE, but maybe we're just familiar with other tools, in which case you wanted to kind of get into Binary Ninja. So let me actually, I've got a BNDB I'm going to load in here just because it's a nice one for looking around. All right. And we're going to open that one up. Bash with symbols. So this is just a version of Bash, but we've actually loaded it with the dwarf information that it comes with. So we've got symbols and, oh yeah, this is when I was turning all my stuff off. So let's reset my window layout. Yeah, so I think we'll start today, and we'll make you the audience of this, and we'll give you an overview of Binary Ninja and the UI that it comes with versus some of the other tools, and then we'll do more of an intro to reverse engineering for somebody else. So this is like the default Binary Ninja like view out of the box, and it is a little funny because I guess technically like the symbols were loaded in this particular one, but if a file had some symbol information, you'd get kind of the same thing. I was watching like an intro Guitar tutorial, and they were like, okay, here's how you like, open a binary, and they have to go through like all the project setup stuff. IDA isn't quite as bad, but it has like, a couple more clicks and analysis and things that you got to do. Ooh, Crazybomb. I'll look for it. Yeah, I don't see that. I thought I did download it though, so maybe it was I put it somewhere else, or it could be just in case. No. Sorry, Fox. Yeah, if you want to send it again, or we can look for it again later though. But I do want to cover that for you at some point. So like this is just like the out of the box kind of experience. Again, I've got like as a BNDB, which is a database, which I just opened. Right. So, but you can file open, and you can go to your file. I can also just open another file, like this as well. So if I actually have a binary, whatever virtual is, I don't want to open it. I shouldn't have anything bad in this machine, but never know. Like this one I know is safe, right? You can just drag and drop. So you can drag and drop your file onto it. Ooh, it's in my DMs. Excellent. I got it. I see it. All right, we'll queue that up. Ooh, it's a 6 megabyte file, so maybe we'll have some good stuff to dig through. So here's like the binary, and the one big thing you'll notice that's different about Binary Ninja than a lot of the other tools is it opens up into this view that nothing else has. Right, so out of the box, Binary Ninja is showing you decompilation, essentially. It's showing you the results of our high-level IL, which we're trying to get better at calling our decompiler. Because we're really bad. We're like, oh, look at our high-level IL. People are like, you mean your decompiler? With zombies in particular is good about reminding us that we should be telling people that's what we've got. Like you get like this kind of big scrolly view that just has all of the decompilation of the binary, but it's like a mix. So you've got the decompilation, but you've also got just raw bytes that we're padding between functions, it looks like. Or like, like we can create a function here and see what it looks like. Is this actually something useful? It's just an op, so that is literally just padding, right? So I can undo that, and yeah, looks like just, it's just getting alignment. You'll see tools do that a lot. Sorry, I forgot. We're not doing introduction to reverse engineering. We're doing introduction to the tool, right? So yeah, you've got your alignment padding in between functions. And the nice thing is if you have data interleaved, like, architecture like ARM, where you've got data references that'll be just after the function, or jump tables or whatever, you'll see those, kind of right here, because you've got this sort of view. This took a fair amount of work to get this performant where, again, we're literally decompiling the whole thing and looking at it in that linear view. All right, let's put Crazybomb into the VM. All right, so we're gonna open. Yeah, again, I hit Control T to open a new tab. You can also hit Control O, kind of usual hotkeys to open up a file, and we'll see what this one does. So very little happened. I see. Yeah. So let's just talk about again. Like this is right out of the gate. I opened up this file. I've never seen. So this one, Ryan, was really small. This is like a super tiny binary. So it decompiled very fast. This other one I opened is very large, but I didn't find a lot of code. That's why it was so fast. People used to complain like, oh, Binary Ninja takes, like, I thought it was multi-threaded. You're taking as much time as IDA to analyze this binary. And I'm like, well, we're decompiling the whole binary. That's why, and so yes, we're multi-threaded, so we tend to be faster, but we're also decompiling the whole thing. It's the equivalent of like decompile all in IDA. So yeah, if you have memory, if you have threads, like we will use them. So it will, in fact, you can even see it. That's really cool. So if I open up, for example, libzool. So libzool does take a while. So let's open up that. So here's 120 megabytes of code in a VM with, I don't know, probably 8 gigs of RAM, I think I've given it, and a VM in the first place, right? Yeah, Piston Miner, that's a good point. Thanks for the reminder. That is commercial only, right? So technically you do have like 2 threads. You have like a UI thread and an analysis thread in personal even. Is it just still hanging, or did I not open that? Oh yeah, it's still hanging. I should check and see what if this VM doesn't have, oh no, it's got 16 gigs of memory. Okay, so that's not so bad. There we go. Yeah, so that was open. That was a very large. libzool is open. It's parsing, but it's still going to be analyzing. And so you can see it's kind of going through here. If I were to let this go long enough to see meaningful results, you'd actually see functions appearing like, multiple places, which is kind of cool with the multi-threading as it's analyzing and creating these functions. There are some stages of the analysis though that are single threaded. So you'll see there's like this phase 1, 2, 3. For a little bit of the details on that, you can read our blog. Brian did a write-up on architecture agnostic function identification, I think is the name of the post. and that talks about kind of what's happening at some of these different levels. I'm going to kill this because I would like my machine to be usable. You can see like we've got a very large DLL with lots of symbols, but it's mostly usable. Again, this is on commercial. It is not nearly as usable on personal with the single thread. Although, like I said, there is actually a UI thread and an analysis thread, but we've got, you know, almost 300 functions. So yeah, you can see the feature map just loaded up. So that's kind of the point of this, right? I also want to talk about like all these different UI elements. I think it's pretty obvious. We got a function list over here. It is not just a function list though. It is like a symbol list. So you can actually turn on other things. I'm going to go kill Zool. This is why I have a separate streaming box that's actually doing the encoding and streaming versus the analysis, because I knew there would be times where I'd be like killing CPUs to analyze things. All right, so this particular one, for example, I know I opened Crazybomb, and this is one that Fox sent over, had wanted me to take a look at and do some reversing on for a while. And I see on the right is what we call our feature map. So this is the equivalent to the IDA scrub bar. I don't remember, does Ghidra have, I think they have like a scrub bar type thing. I don't use it as much, I forget, but yeah, so like it is actually, if you want to like open like a large file and have it analyze faster and then trigger analysis for one, you can do that as well. So let's just talk about, even before I get this again, let's back up, all the ways that you can open a file in Binary Ninja. So I mentioned you can drag and drop, right? You can just drag it onto it and the default analysis just goes. Same thing with file open, default analysis just goes. We want the out of the box, like just very quick, very fast, do the right thing most of the time to work. But there is also, and again, I'm hitting Control T to make a new tab just to look at like the kind of default view while leaving that up. The recent file list, if I Control Shift O, I can do that from anywhere. But that's the open dialog, but it's the open with options dialog, right? And so we can see that here, and that's gonna like let me customize the analysis. Both IDA and Ghidra by default assume you wanna like mess with your analysis options, and we say like, no, like just do the right thing. But then if you want to go make your changes, go in and use this separate menu option. And you notice that it was a Control Shift plus O opens. So if you also hold Control and Shift, I use that to kind of remind me, if you hold Control and Shift and click one of the recent items on the recent list, it does the same thing, right? So that's actually gonna do the same thing as if I did Control Shift O, and it gives me the like open with options. I mean, give me the write up or like give me hints in chat if you want. Like you can seem to let me struggle for a little bit if you want. Yeah, exactly, Amy. See, that's why I really like to mention that, like that linear view, because you talk about like all the linear kind of together. That's literally unique to Binary Ninja. Like no other tool I think has the performance to pull that off. And so it's kind of nice, depending on the size of the binary, just you can kind of like scroll through them. That is why we make that like the default view. Although I will note, I think with the UI refactor, we'll probably have something more side by side. I really do like Ghidra, how they default to the side by side of decomp and assembly, be able to see both. And so I think having both up is a nice thing to do. If links, I don't know if I changed links or not in chat, so I think it probably works. But if you have any trouble with it, Ryan, I recommend join the Binary Ninja Slack. And in fact, do we have a stream channel in the Slack? I forget. I mean, there's a channel called Streams that has people in it. I've never been in that channel before. That's kind of funny. All right, we'll make the streams channel for passing links from stream. Okay, yeah, I think that's probably just YouTube default, so I don't know if I have to turn that on. But if y'all join the streams channel on the Binary Ninja Slack, and the sign up, Ryan, if you're not already in it, is just slack.binary.ninja. We'll take you right to an invite where you can join it, and we'll get those links out there. Yeah, Game Mind, thanks for mentioning that as well too. Yeah, you can also the numbers next to these, you can just hit the number to open the file directly. I actually use one a lot. Like if I'm reopening a file, I want to reopen like the last file I was on, or actually like right now I want to make Crazybomb the last one that I opened because I want to redo that list. I don't want to open Zool again, so I've got no binaries open. I can just hit one. I use one a lot. That's a good way to. It's a good reminder. There's a couple of more like esoteric ways that you can open binaries. One of which is there's actually a URL handler. So this is it seems kind of weird. I can open like binls, and it will ask me if I want to use Binary Ninja. Yes, open link. So it's going to warn me. It's never going to do this by default because we don't want people to be able to like pwn you with like a Binary Ninja bug by, browser drive-by. So it always asks you, but like it's super nice to be able to just be like, yeah, please open that file. And you can specify a local file path. You can specify like a web URL that will download the file and open it. This is actually a neat trick for like integrating Binary Ninja into like other workflows and other like apps. You can like automate like via a web app, like where you're clicking around some files, you've got some internal corporate thing or just some, kind of tool you've got. We used it actually years ago for like Cyber Grand Challenge. So we were doing visualization for CGC. And we had this whole system that would like take all of the modified binaries and do some auto analysis, and that would provide the binaries and let people quickly open them and analyze them. And it was literally like one click on a web page to pop open a binary ninja and be looking right at that particular file. You could do it with the BNDB. We've already like auto analyzed stuff and made it like even faster. So the URL handler is actually really pretty slick. And there's even the URL handler also supports like search and navigation. You can actually specify like where to go in a particular binary. And then I think it is I think navigate. One of these APIs has the documentation on the URL handler. No, maybe it's over under. No, parse expression. Yeah, there it is. That's right. This is it. Oh, good. It is in here. Oh, and actually, now is a good time to mention that the user guide, which we have here, is like what people ask us for a lot is they want like a book. Oh, Fox, you might also drop the link to the binary, the Crazybomb binary, if it's not in that write-up, or maybe if it's already in the write-up, then we're good. But you could put that in the channel as well for people. We often get asked like, do you have a book? Do you have a set of tutorials? It's one reason we're doing this video, is kind of making it more introductory. But our user guide is actually a really good tutorial. It really does. It has more than you would think it would for being relatively concise. We try to, like, anytime we notice somebody asking a question, like, make sure it's answered in the documentation. Like, if it's something that keeps coming up, like, let's put it in the docs. Let's figure out where to document it so the next time that doesn't happen. So I think a lot of people who maybe looked at the docs a while ago, or even just never really looked at them, are missing out, because there is, like, all this stuff I'm talking about, loading files. Like, this whole section here, right, on all these different ways that you can load, and it's all here. So yeah, Binja, we get asked a lot about a Binja book. People really want a book. I've already talked to Bill at No Starch, and he has no desire to do it. He says he wouldn't have even done the item book today, given the size of their customer base, because there's just not enough people. Gator obviously was open source, and so like anybody could be a potential customer. So I think that was why they made that. Oh, is it Ryan? Are you one of the people that's asked about that? Yeah, I mean, what I will say though, and we've actually had a couple people who thought about it and been kind of interested in it. I think we develop too fast to make a book useful right now, honestly. Like if you go back and you look at the Binary Ninja changelog and just look at like a year ago, right? Like what did we have 1 year ago? So pick like April of 2020, just 2020. Like, all right, like we're all new pandemic babies just starting to really, or here we go. There was a stable release here. So everything basically from here forward is about a year. And you look at like just the major features that got added. High level IL, a little feature like that. The cross references have been totally reworked several times. There's a merge tool. I mean, not to mention like the bug fixes and new APIs. Python 3, right? You'd have Python 2 support in the book. Anyway, so I agree, Amy. I think like a wiki is a better way to go. And I will point out that our documentation, like this whole current user guide, which I really do encourage you to read. Like it would take you like not that long to read through the whole thing. Actually has most of what you would want in it, and a lot of it anyway, has a lot of the elements kind of covered. And if not, let me know. But the other thing is that's open source as well. So that lives in our API. And so there's API docs, which is just convert the PyDoc and the C++ into our online documentation there if you want to mess with that. But the docs folder is just the markdown under guide, like here, where is it? Getting started, MD. Yeah. So like it's markdown, and you can go edit it right on GitHub. There's a couple of shenanigans I do some stuff with CSS on one of these. Is it the plugin one? No, types. Working with types is one of the ones I do it on. I've got like a couple of things where, it's broken. It's broken. Well, there's supposed to be images to load here. When did that break? All right, well, then maybe I shouldn't demonstrate that as the thing that we do differently than just standard markdown. Anyway, so this is supposed to be a little animated slideshow with images where you can like animate a process where you want to show different steps over it. Yeah, so I would, if y'all, and y'all don't even have to write the book, literally just you guys saying like, oh, hey, what about this? Is usually enough for me to go and add stuff to the documentation. We're trying to get all the developers as they add new features to make sure they take screenshots and they add the documentation as well. So they're going to continue to grow. But if you have things that you feel like, oh man, there's this great feature that's not documented, just let us know and it'll be there. So like we will build like the Binja book just on the fly, I think, with this. And again, I've definitely heard from people who have complained about Binary Ninja not having enough documentation and also missing some features when those very features were in the documentation, right? So like, it's like, well, you didn't read the documentation we do have, which to be fair, may just mean it wasn't discoverable enough, or, you know, maybe you need to make it more readable. You know, there's always ways we can improve. But I think we actually do have the start of something really good here. Even like this working with types is relatively new. I only have added this, I think, in the last year as well. And there's still more work to be done. And we definitely, there's more we could do here. But talking about working with a type system and symbols versus types versus signatures versus fingerprints, kind of all covered there. Yeah, exactly, Mr. Mother. The docs have come a long way, I think. And so sometimes it's people who have either not seen them in a while, or again, they just kind of look at it and they're like, well, it's a getting started guide. That's not really a book. I want a book with a big chapter and outlines and stuff. But I think there's a lot of good content there. Yeah, I think there's different kinds of value in that game mind. So I think what you're talking about is more like tutorial stuff, right? Like workflow type stuff. And interestingly, like if you look at like IDA and Gitter book, the IDA book, you know, it's less about like, here's a workflow and then work you end to end through it, and more about like, here's all what a hammered nail is, right? It's really just documenting all the different features. It's very similar, you know, kind of this, you know, deeper in scope and covers more things. But again, it's also outdated, right? Because as soon as a new feature comes out, it's not there. But yeah, I do think there's also a place for a separate style of content, which is more like, here's a workflow. Here's where you start kind of end to end. So, all right, talked a lot. Let's get back to actually looking at Binja. So, right, there's a ton of ways you could open files. Like literally just opening files has all of these different ways of doing it. Oh, there it is. Yeah, and this is also where I document. I was trying to look this up, the URL format here, and you can see it's under this parse expression API. So here are all of the different things. It's actually kind of a powerful thing. So when you link to a binary in your little web app, you can actually go to a particular offset. You can go to a symbol name. You've got a lot of like flexibility there, you know, for it. Yeah. So if you're going to pwn Binja, that's a good way to look first. Like the URL handler through the expression parser is going to get you to native code. So I mean, there's probably a lot of APIs that you could do that on. Bug bounty at some point, you know, we'll launch one. But I honestly, like, just be very careful. That's why we have the pop-up. There is no one-click drive-bys. You would have to manually open a file. So be warned, you are opening binaries and we do a lot of parsing. There will probably be bugs. So did I miss anything? Let's take a look at our, oh, right. One of my favorites is actually, let's quit and let's open up, where's Crazybomb is here? Yeah, so you can actually, binary ninja. This is gonna sound really silly. One of my favorites is using a command line parameter. And the reason it's one of my favorites is because of this little trick that a lot of people don't know, which actually, is this documented? No, I need to add it there. It might be somewhere else in the docs. Brian added this little trick a while ago. So I launched Binary Ninja with the command line parameter, right? So obviously, duh, it opens up the file. That's nothing. But if I use the restart command palette, which I like binding to a hotkey, which is not a default, but I like using this a lot, I can actually hit the hotkey to restart Binja, and it remembers the command line options it had before and restarts in the same state. So that's super nice. Like if you're debugging an architecture plugin where you've actually got to restart Binja and you don't have a commercial license where you can just do it headless and standalone, which is another nice way to iterate on plugin development. So, okay, yeah. So that's the last little subtle way of opening a file, right? Give the command line parameter, and then you got the benefit of when you restart, if you restart using the action system, it maintains the same file, which is a nice little trick. All right. Well, while I'm doing this, let's actually just go back and let's look at the guide, and we'll kind of go through that in order. I'm not covering like the file formats and where files are, but that's all documented, where your settings are stored and where plugins are stored and different kinds of, you know, all that stuff. It's all there. There is a Linux setup script that will actually do some stuff that you would expect of, like, we have to install it on Linux. It's just a zip file, but this can actually set up bindings so that BNDB files, you can double click to open Binary Ninja, which I guess is another way that you could open it, now that I think about it. And as the icon puts it, like, you know, like there's a couple of like basic UI based stuff, as well as we'll put Binary Ninja in your Python path, so you can access it headlessly if you have it. And even if you don't have a headless license, putting it in your path will help IDEs be able to like work through it, which is nice. Sweet, glad to hear it, Fox. Yeah, that install script was originally, I think that started as a with zombies submission, and then I've made a bunch of changes to it since then. But it's helpful. So actually, no, I think the install API one was his. I think I may have done that one from scratch. But anyway. All right, so that's how you load files. All right, so now we've loaded a file. We've got our Crazybomb binary. And this is, again, the default UI. I know it's the default UI because I can hit Control-Shift-R. Oh, okay, now it's the default UI. Slight change. Control-Shift-R will reset the window layout. So if you've lost a doc and you've done something else, kind of puts everything back the way it goes. But I like seeing the log, and I like seeing the Python console. So let's see if I can hit that 1 pixel. Yeah, there it is. I like this little side-by-side trick here. So I've got my Python console, Oops, I always, yeah. Switch between OSs, right? So that one's, there's 81 functions in this binary. Like, okay, but there's should be a lot more than that. And in fact, if we look here through the binary, I'm going to use the feature map over here, right? So let me turn this off. I'm kind of hiding behind it. The feature map is, it's a little bit like the IDA scrub bar at the top, but it is two-dimensional. So first of all, you can see if I make it bigger, actually I get more of a view. That's really interesting. That actually looks like, is that letters? That's like AAAAA. Did y'all see that? Hold on, let me just switch it back to, don't auto rotate. Hold on. If I make it narrow again, so it actually auto rotates, so you can go vertical, horizontal. Don't auto rotate. I wonder if that's totally AAA. So that looks like some image data that's actually in just the bytes, which is, yeah, so Josh just learned something. To be clear, Josh is one of the Vector 35 developers. Like there's literally, we all learn things about different parts of the product here, but this looks like image data of some sort. And because of the way that this thing is, so green is, I'm trying to remember, Brian, if you're still on, so I'm gonna learn something. The different colors, I wanna say yellows are strings or structures, one of the two. Green is code. Let's see, I can also turn off, yeah, it's a big file, so even file back to only mode won't help. File back to only is like if there's something that defines a bunch of segments or sections that, segments, right? So segments have memory backing and sections are just like descriptive areas within a segment. Segments have like physical memory properties or like actual like memory, like math memory ranges, and sections are just like informational, like, well, this part of the segment is for this purpose. So you can have some extra information on them. That is super intriguing though. That's funny just seeing that data there. I wonder if I like it just the right width, if it will like turn into something like viewable. I really love like visualization things that happen like that. Like, look at that. Isn't that cute? Dude. Something's there. But I feel like I'm like just not quite getting that. I got to get the exact, I mean, one way to do that actually is to figure out where that data stops and starts, extract it out, and then do a ppm. There's a couple like raw image file formats where you can just feed it in. Assuming though, again, is this actually just a list of functions though? So that is actually the code that is a function? Is that what that is? That's crazy. ASCII data. Okay, green is ASCII data. But like, so looks like, it looks like something's in there. It's just so funny. Yeah, it could be nothing. Human visual reception recognition is definitely prone to false positives. All right, so that's the feature map. And as you just saw, I can right click and I can turn off auto rotate. So I don't want it to change. No, like right now it should be a more horizontal layout than vertical, and it will automatically do that. Like if you drag it up to the top, which I've got my toolbars turned off. So let's actually turn this back on just so we're closer to the default experience as we do the newbie viewer. Yeah, so Karstine, we are doing like a kind of more welcome to Binary Ninja stream, and hopefully it'll be a good, see, there's data in there. There's straight up data. What is this? There's like a visual something or other. Is that interleaved with actual code? Because it looked like, okay, so no, these are all up top. Yeah, all the code functions are there. This is something else. That's funny. I just think it's funny that literally like showing off a feature. Fox says you don't think there's anything there. I think that's too structured to be random. Anyway, you've read the write-up. You know what the actual solution is. So again, like, looking at this binary, the only thing I know is that we've identified a very small number of functions up top, and we have not gotten most of this content down here, which clearly has something in it, whether it's just an encrypted blob or just large functions that we haven't identified. I hope it's not 6 megs of an encrypted blob. So, oh, there it is. Yeah, bomb terminal, right? So here's and there's like some ANSI color codes kind of going on here. This is actually pretty clean to look at out of the box. This is nice. So there's several stages. That's interesting. Yeah, it's just not padding going on there. I guess, okay, so let me go back to my overview of the process, but yeah, what could be? It sounds like there may be multiple stages besides just two, or is there only just the two? Yeah, well, I can see locality because this thing is a crosshair, by the way. I don't know if you noticed this while we're talking about the reflection view or the feature map, but like this crosshair. So when I click this thing, I'm just all up in here. So I see all the code is right up in here. I don't remember if there's a way to zoom in. I don't think there is on the feature map, but I am fully convinced that is data that's gonna be pulled out. It's like a password or something. I could totally be wrong, but Anyway, so like all the code lives up in here in the feature map. So that's kind of a nice, but you know, just if nothing else, when I first look at this, I can readily identify that like this is a very large binary. Brian's on it. Just watch Brian bang that out before we notice. So like all the actual functions live in this tiny little space of the binary. Like there's not that many functions. They're all up here, and then no other functions have been identified. So these are all, actually let's go to the last function by address. And we can just scroll down and we can see like, okay, so we've got a bunch of read-only data. We've got all these, you know, strings that we saw referenced. Blue, red, green wires solve this. Okay, so yep. And so I'm looking through strings because I'm looking in the section that contains the strings, but I can also actually just look in the strings view. So navigating views, I got a couple different ways that I could do this. I can hit Control P and start typing strings, which is how I usually do it, kind of out of habit. All right, and so I'm going to be looking at like the list of strings, and this could be a little bit prettier. Actually, the problem we're seeing right now, by the way, is we're getting lots of false positives, right? Because it's a 6 megabyte blob of whatever stuff. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's an encrypted thing. Maybe it's noise. My guess is unencrypted, just random data. But you're going to end up with 4 to 5 things in the ASCII printable range pretty frequently in just a large blob of random data. So that's why you're going to see. Although actually, that's not encrypted because that's way too regular. I'm seeing a bunch of stuff that is like the same patterns repeated, right? So there's something else going on with this. It's not an encrypted. Oh, and incidentally, let's go look at, so I'm in strings view right now, but let's look at triage. Triage has an interesting property. So yeah, it could be compression. I don't even think it's compression. I think it's something more basic than that. But yeah, maybe, I don't know, maybe it could be compression. Triage is interesting because it was first written as a Python plugin. It was one of the very first UI-based plugins. And then we turned it into, like the functionality was so important that we turned it into a C++ plugin and ship it by default. So you can have it, but you can actually look at the source code to how that plugin works. So there's the Python version of that plugin, Python examples triage, right? So you can get the Python source code for the original plugin. And then I think we have, under just examples triage, probably. Yeah, here's the actual C++ plugin. And this is the one that's built and literally included with the product. Yeah, exactly, Brian. Yeah, so sorry, that's right. Brian knew where I was going with this, right? So Rusty built the triage view, but Brian actually built the entropy APIs. And so that's where I was going with this one. This entropy map is, you know, a nice little visual overview of the binary, except it's going to give us just a color coding of what is high and low entropy, which is a nice visual way of looking for things like compression or encryption or just runs of nulls or runs of similar bytes and stuff. So we can see like this is like entropic, but it's not like crazy high entropy. This is like the region of higher entropy. This little blob here. But yeah, I'm just looking at it. You can see these patterns. Like this is not as high entropy as you would expect from something like you can see those runs are repeated. Anyway, so I like triage view. Triage view is also part of like the dedicated like open for malware. If you actually do open for triage, like as a specific file picker that's meant to like let you just pick a bunch of files. Like I can go to my samples folder, and well, that's not really going stream. I think is where I put it, right? Stream binaries. Like I could, you know, open like a bunch of them all at once. And when you open something using the triage view, it does very little analysis, next to no analysis. So Amy mentioned earlier that she likes to like open it up the binary and like do a very basic analysis mode because it's just faster, and then trigger analysis on the function that she then wants to look at. So like we can see that by, if I open the bomb and triage, like even for large functions, this will be generally very fast. It just does a basic parsing of the sections and segments. It will pull out functions, but it doesn't do like a really advanced linear sweep. It just looks for imports, exports, and it will let me, so I do get some functions here, but you notice like I'm not, well, this probably is all of them because this binary is just so small and may actually have symbols for all of these, in which case it's going to find them all. But for functions, normal functions where you've got to like sweep through stuff to find it. But if I go into like main, so here's a great example. Somebody, I forget who it was, asked earlier about like, I don't get a graph view when I go to this function. Or in this case, you do get a graph view, but it's going to give you this warning. You'll get this warning for a couple of different cases. If the stack is misaligned, if basic analysis mode has happened. So like this function hasn't been fully analyzed, which is why I don't get high level IL, I just get assembly. But you can like enable it and like it will go and immediately decompile it, analyze it. And now if I switch over to high level IL, I've got decompilation for that function, right? I can do the same thing in linear view, but you'll notice most of these, so all these other functions, oh, I've never done it this way. I guess this is what you're talking about, Amy. That's cool. So you have like a concise list of all the functions in the binary, and then you're like, yes, please analyze main. Okay, great. Here's main. Go to main. Does main not? That's got a symbol. Okay, yeah. So I already triggered analysis for main, but like you could you could just analyze the functions you want and then get them there. That's a kind of nice workflow. I never really thought about that. Yeah. So Triage used one way you could do that. You could also have done that with open with options. So if you Control Shift on bomb, I think that previous open, or whatever binary it is, and you change the under analysis mode, you can change it under basic or control flow. You won't do a lot of the normal analysis. If you're working with really large files or potentially like obfuscated, malicious, binaries are going to have lots of anti-debugging or anti-static analysis tricks in them. Stuff like that can help keep Binary Ninja from kind of going off the rails. So yeah. All right. So back to this. We've got the feature map, and a feature map is an example of a dock widget. So I've mentioned that a couple of times, but dock widgets are just little windows you can drag and move around. You can kind of choose the layout for them. And so, that's interesting. ELF section headers are invalid. Huh. Yeah, so this is, it's a CTF challenge, so some shenanigans is to be expected. Or was that for that? Was that for this binder or was that for a different one? Let's reopen Crazybomb. I just want to figure that out. That was for a different, no, that was for this one. Clear log, reopen. It's so fast that we can just let it do that. Yep. So there's something weird about the section headers, and I will point out the section headers do absolutely nothing or almost nothing for actual execution. Compiler puts them in there and they're useful for analysis, but when you're actually executing code, the original intended purpose from the compiler of a particular section is kind of meaningless, right? Like they can do what you want. You can use them in different ways. You can remap memory permissions. Again, with some exceptions, you can remap memory permissions. You can change things. Actually, and again, even segments are the actual memory mappings. The sections are just sort of informational things. So sections you will often see munged or obfuscated or doing weird things. And there's a couple ways we can get to those. So like, for example, I can just scroll the top of linear view, very, very top. In fact, with my Vim bindings, I have like GG, actually takes you up there, or G. So we can actually see here's the memory segments. Again, it maps. These are going to determine like where the bytes in the file get mapped into what regions of memory. And then the sections are the actual permissions. And this is nice because we actually get some useful information. We can tell where code is going to be. So Binary Ninja will, for the most part, obey these because it assumes sort of well-formed binaries. Oh yeah, kernel modules in Linux. Well, yeah, because so again, yeah, there are exceptions where sections are actually used in terms of how things are loaded or parsed or like have things that are required. But most of the time anyways, it's sort of informational, I guess, is a general rule. There's probably a lot more exceptions than I realize, but we've got some nice information about a bunch of different sections, and they're told their code or read-only data. Binja will actually obey these. And again, they're informational, so a program can lie, and you could tell Binja there's no code in any of these, are all read-only data, and it would make no functions. And that's fine. Like, yes, you can lie to Binary Ninja, so that would require you to either go change the binary or change Binja's analysis or change the mappings. You can make a new section over top of an existing one, just change, give it your permissions, and then it will let it find code. You can trigger linear sweep again after you've marked something as code that wasn't code before, and it will let go and find things. But that could be, for example, why we only have very, very few things at the very, very start of this binary, right? It's because it may just be the code section is very, very small. So let's actually look at that real quick and see where do we have code, right? So we have code, obviously, in that PLT, but the text really is where all the code is going to live. And yeah, not a whole lot there, right? 11E0 up to 3B21. And you'll notice we had 3A20. So we have functions being made, although there's a little bit of a gap. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty... This could just be a big function. Yeah, like this function looks like it mostly fills up the space of the bytes, right? There's not a lot of like padding, a lot of stuff missing. So just looking at that, it looks like there's not a lot of code in what would normally be marked as code, but that's fine. Oh, that's a good idea, right? Yeah, like if there was like a linear sweep this section, or even like right click and be like linear sweep this, right? Like even if it's marked read-only data, but I said specifically, please linear sweep this section, that'd be cool. That would be a nice little feature. It'd be easy to add. Well, for us anyway. All right, so we know there's something's weird with the shenanigans with that going on. Feature map, I've got the log, I've got my Python console. I use those, I like to bring them up. For most analysis, you don't necessarily need them depending on what you're doing. I'm just, like, I like to be able to poke and get at things in there. A couple things to note down here is that these were not features we originally had. Speaking of all the changes in the last year, you can click the addresses in both the log and the console, and you can get navigated to symbols and functions from either one of these. It's nice in the log how you can actually see what's highlighted. In the Python console, you've got like Python syntax and arbitrary output and stuff, so it's not as pretty for the highlighting because it would probably take away from being able to read the code, but it still has that feature, which is super nice. You can clear it. Not a lot else to the log, with the exception that you can change the log levels either using APIs, or there's some startup command line flags that will say like put it in debug mode, and if you launch Binja in debug mode, you'll get a lot more information. Our loaders are very chatty. They tell you everything about the parsing of the file and all sorts of weird, all sorts of extra errors or warnings or whatever. Like you can get that. There's different log levels. Again, it's all in the API documentation. You can go look through for the log APIs and the log class. Yeah, so there's also the binary debugger. I'm not going to talk about that today. In fact, we're taking more time than I thought we would on this, but that's good. So, but there is a debugger, a Binary Ninja debugger, or you would run it maybe with another tool. There's several things that will plug debuggers into Binary Ninja. I'll look and we'll see what we can get out of this thing statically. So if I just, oh yeah, sorry. Start over. We've got our opening our files. We've got our feature map, which we talked about. Our log is pretty straightforward. There are some icons that will show up when there's warnings or errors in the log that you can click on. And once you do, they go away. Like you've seen them already. But like when I originally opened this up, this is actually an error here. Like, hey, there's like an invalid section out here. This is a thing that we want you to notice, and it will pop up that icon when you click it. It will take you to the log, even if the log is not shown, right? So if I reopen Crazybomb, oh right, well I've already got the log shown. But if I reopen it and I did not have the log up, I could click the icon and it would pop it up for me. But all right, so we start off in linear view, but you can change that. Like if you don't want to start off in linear view, if you want to start off in graph view the way we used to, you can use the settings, and we could probably spend just 20 minutes on just the settings alone. So I'm going to try to do it relatively quickly, but there's the preferences menu that has a couple of like settings related things. So that's your key bindings, your plugin manager, and the setting system. The setting system, I've showed it a couple times already and talked about various settings. You'll notice I have show identifiers turned on. I like it. It means like when I tell somebody like, oh, just search for this, and they can paste that in, I know they're going to get exactly that setting. It's also the identifier you'd use in the API. Like if I want to actually settings dot get, so s equals settings s dot get bool, for example. Here's a bool. This one is a bool, and right, so I can get you query that exact identifier. So I like leaving those on. You can search in here, and you can, oh, that one actually has regex search. I totally missed that, Brian. But you can, there's a lot of search that you can put into here, and you can filter. Just like modified is a really nice one too. Modified, right? Just show me the user settings that I've changed. Oh, copy identifier, that's new. You're right, I just did that manually. I didn't know about that one. Or not, maybe it's not that new, but I just didn't notice about it. Sweet, yeah, I'm gonna use that one. Yeah, copy identifier is great. That's very nice. So s.get string, get our current theme name using John's reflection theme. Yeah. And again, these are the things I've changed from the default. So if you want to see just the stuff I've changed, I could also just manually go into my user folder, which again was in the documentation per OS, it tells you where it is, and just cap my settings file. And you can see the settings I've changed there, but that's just my user settings. There might be a setting that's actually saved. You can save them into projects, and you can save them into Binary Ninja databases. And so you can have like different places where settings are saved. With collaboration, there's settings like with other collaboration users. And so, this is modified in user, but it could be actually a non-default setting that came from the project, which is just a hidden folder in a folder that had BNDBs, and it can have different settings applied to them. Projects, again, all that's, check the documentation. There's a bunch more about that. So I'm missing the context piston miner of your, there's random request. Function at contiguous. Oh, which tells you of highest address minus, okay. So piston miner's request is, let's say I've got a function. Here's a function, right? And so I had this rant I go on a lot about how there's no such thing as current function.size, because functions are not necessarily contiguous objects. Basic blocks can be disjoint. You can have functions that overlap. They can have tail calls. They can have all sorts of different weird behavior that will make it hard to have like a succinct, correct definition of what size is. We have something like highest address in the API, and then we have lowest address. And what you could do is you could actually do current function.highest address minus current function.lowest address is equal to current function.total bytes. In this case, it's not, which means Binary Ninja thinks this is not a totally contiguous function, or it thinks there's something else about that. So like we can hit space. Actually, let's just go back to this view. Yeah, sure enough, that's funny. I expected that would return true, and I was worried it was a bug, but yeah, this is not a contiguous function. There's actually a chunk of, what even is this? Is that an instruction? Linear sweep might have just missed that. Let me do this. Actually, watch this. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to copy as escape string. ASCII escape string. I'm going to take the current binary view. I'm going to get the architecture out of it. And there's a way to get disassembly, I think. Or is it bv.arch.get? Or is it not the arch? Is it actually the binary view? You can do, there's a way to like just be like, here's some bytes, please disassemble. Go ask the API or see if somebody in chat will be to it. I think it's like get disassembly. Disassembly text, or I can get it. Binary view.get disassembly, but that might just work on an address. So I get disassembly. Here's something else I'm going to show you. In the Python console, Glenn added an early nice feature. I can just hit question mark at the end of it. I thought it was a little weird at first. It didn't really feel. Oh, that's get instruction text. Yeah, get instruction text sounds exactly like that. It is arch.get instruction text, and I think I can just do. Oh, an address. Yeah, so I could do. Here, did the wrong order. Address goes next, right? So thank you, Mr. Miner. So I copied these bytes out, and because I have my cursor kind of still here, I know the here is the virtual address of whatever I have selected in the binary. So I can just do hex here, for example. It's also I think like current address or current, yeah, it's also the same thing. And so when I tried to call this API of get the binary view, which is like the main, we're not going to go to scripting, but like that's going to get me like a lot of my APIs and objects all live off the binary view, which is like just the main analysis of whatever binary I'm looking at. I have the architecture module, and then I'm going to have a get instruction text. I'm going to pass in these bytes that I just copied. So that was just a really quick, like, okay, like this looks like a real instruction. No, it is not. It's a NOP, right? So this is just a NOP prefix. So this is padding here in between a basic block. Okay, fair. And this function, by the way, has, you know, multiple return addresses, which is also my favorite example of why trying to do like function size is hard, because, you know, or like what's the end of a function? Is it here? Is it here? Is it the list of set of both of them? Is it, you know, anyway. So that's cool. That was our little text. And so the question that came from was, can we get a is contiguous? It's basically those APIs. This one, on the other hand, for example, that one also has some padding. Also has some padding. That is, why do all these have this? That's a weird compilerism. These all have this like padding blob. Well, like they all have the same structure. Let's just get a different function. There we go. No, this one has a jump to. Yeah, something else. So that's not a good one. We'll find this. Actually, no, let's just even better. Let's just script this up. So let's do def contig function and return fn.highest address minus fn.lowest address is equal to fn.total bytes. Contig for f in bb.functions def contig f print f. So none of the functions in this binary are contiguous, if that's to be believed. Let's try it on ls. I think that's the compiler's doing some shenanigans. Yeah, so like we have contiguous functions in this other binary, right? And if we go look at them, what we'd expect to see is an assembly view just like function entry. See, no other blobs or bytes, no tail calls, except, oh, no. This one does have some of that though. That's weird. Maybe there's an off by one in my calculation. Highest minus lowest, like plus or minus one, could be something there. Yeah, highest address is inclusive. Yeah, so I do have an off by one then. Let's try that again. Is it minus one then, or other way around? Interesting, sub. It didn't click. Yeah, that was it, right? So this one is a contiguous function. So yeah, is it plus one or is it minus one? Well, either way, there's a off by one there. Which side is the minus on would make it the same. Is it this one? I think that one looked right anyway. All right, so here's the new thing I hit. G. I use the G key to bring up the go to dialog, and I'm just going to paste an address in there, but I could do a lot more with that. So you see, you get a little preview of where you're going to go, which is nice. But I could actually do like math, like this plus an offset times something, or I could, you know, maybe some other things that I want to put in there. So that's the whole parse expression API, which I alluded to earlier. It's in the user documentation. There's a bunch of fancy stuff you could throw on that. Well, yeah, okay, that's fair. That one does indeed look like it's contiguous. So you're right, it is plus one. Off one in the other direction. So let's see. I don't know. Let me think about that when I'm not on camera. I'm gonna talk to the other folks in the stream. We definitely do debate like something that's like a Python one-liner like that you can define in your projects. Like when do we integrate them into the core? I mean, that's technically already true for something like total bytes. Total bytes of a function calculated by summing each basic block, because basic blocks overlap may not be equivalent to a size property, which we don't have. We explicitly don't. So I think the way that that was actually implemented, I don't remember if that was, I don't think it's done the core. So I'm actually curious. But yeah, we debate, like, is this something that we should add or not? So total bytes is a property of the function. And if I scroll up, it's a big set of documentation. Functions and binary views are the two meatiest objects. Lots of APIs and properties and, that was a lot. All right. Yeah. Some map len self, right? So like this is literally just doing the one-liner that would take all the basic blocks and call len on them all and add them all up. Yeah, like we debate that. Keep in mind that's a really good idea of like putting although, you know, it would mean you might accidentally end up writing plugins and stuff, but like having like a binaryninja.rc file where you could put convenient utility stuff that you like to write that you want to make available in the namespace. I mean, you can technically, could you do that with a plugin now? Yeah, you could do it as a hack with a plugin now, but that's interesting. I'm not sure I follow, Josh. You're talking about like like the fact that there was all this stuff I had to scroll through. No, I mean, I think like most of, like a lot of that had documentation examples. Or you're talking about down here when it gets to just the properties. I don't know. No, they all have like documentation and stuff. Yeah, so let people put their own kind of custom little helpers in. Maybe that might be one way around it. You know, the main reason we don't is just it's a question of bloat. Like the more things we add to the API, the more featureful it becomes, and the harder it becomes to find, you know, the stuff that you want for whatever specific task you're doing. So we don't just immediately throw every idea we have into a unless we actually decline to do that. But I don't know if that one would be made or not. Is contiguous an interesting idea? So we'll bring it up. All right. Oops. All right, back here. So let's go back to our main. Oh, great. We'll get a bunch of floating point or vector, not vector. Oh man, I am tired. What do you call that? Oh, XMM register usage, I guess. They are same registers, right, as alias to the floating point stack, but they're just used for larger operations. Told you I'm tired. It's the reason I'm drinking some caffeine. Where is that one coming from? What? Oh, these are gonna be like vector loads of a string, probably, right? No? Okay, yeah. So here's a good example where I don't remember what, I mean, I can take some guesses, but I think it's right. It's just gonna be a move. But what's like the UPS mean? Like we can look at low level IL and see what it's doing. Yeah. So I just hit I once. So I'm using I to switch between ILs. And in this case, if I want to know more information about what a given assembly instruction does, I'm just gonna go to low level IL. That's the closest one to the original assembly. So I'm gonna hit I to look at that. And sure enough, this is basically just saying it's just a memory store of this XMM register into this. But like the XMM register itself, it's just here. So it's just creating an like empty buffer, an empty stack buffer is all it's doing. But then we're SN. We got a syscall here. Syscall number 25. That's would be more helpful if I knew what that was. So we're gonna display as, I forget the hotkey, integer, toggle integer size D. If I hit D, does it no? Display as decimal. It's 37. Linux 64-bit syscall table. .37 is sig alarm. All right. Yeah, you know something shady when that's literally the first thing that main does. So it's gonna set a sig alarm for 5 seconds. I want to say. Does it take us seconds or is it? Yeah, it is seconds by default. UAlarm is okay. Well, that's the C library, assuming it's the same in the kernel implementation. I think it's seconds. It's been a while since I looked at that, but I think it is. Yeah, partial register stuff, piston miner is still a known bug. There's actually a bug we were going back over old ones about partial registers with some of those, I think. So there might be an existing bug on that. Look at all the bugs that we closed that were old on Wednesday. That'll give you the range of the dates that we were looking at in our team meeting. Okay, so this is sig alarm, and actually. Right, so it's gonna do is just gonna give us, it's gonna alarm back and trigger an interrupt, I think, I don't know, 5 seconds. So if you take too long, it's usually anti-debugging. It's gonna do something bad. If you pause it. Let's see, all right, so we get our function here. All right, so there's actually a fair amount to this one. So if that's not equal 0, okay, so this is first stage and then this is next stage. It looks like, right? So whatever this is, we're going to call M. So I'm going to hit N to rename something, to give it a symbol name, because I want to kind of try to build up my knowledge of it. or call stage 1. So stage 1, we have, yeah, there's the 0 buffer, but that doesn't make any oh yeah, sorry, no, it does. That's just where we're gonna put the results of our 3 strings, and we're gonna, is it an offset or is it an actual string? Oh, there we go, verification. Oh, right, is it asterisk? There's a way to make these pointers. Is it with asterisk? Does that fix it? Let's see. I don't remember. Yeah, I'm not gonna get to inline those strings, unfortunately. So that's verification. You can just name it verification. This one is verify your identity. Username, password. Oh, I guess this is probably the actual username and/or password. Maybe this is part of the challenge. Which wire do you cut? It's not gonna be that easy. That's funny. So there's like the fake flag they put for people just grepping for strings. And you know, one way we can tell this is a fake flag is there's no references to it. Now it could be obfuscated, the references to it. Let me see. Sort of. Yeah, I mean, it puts it here, so that's better. That's fair. Actually, hold on. No, not, I don't want to actually make, yeah. So I think I want to just do a, yeah, that's better than before. I like it. It'll at least annotate it here, even if it doesn't inline it at the cross-reference where it loads it, right? And so I'm hitting X to pull up the cross-references. Stage 1, it should be super easy. Oh, you're right, out here. Oof. That's a big fail on the argument detection, didn't it? That's fine. Why do we... Oh, right. That's the problem, because we don't know how many arguments there are. So it's just guessing, and it's guessing very, very wrong, right? So there's only 3. 1, 2, 3. So format var 1, var 2. So actually, here's a good thing to show up as well too. So SNPrintf is going to be called multiple times through this binary. So I don't want to change the type of SNPrintf itself. Actually, I'm going to look at this too. Yeah, it didn't get annotated. I want to change not SNPrintf because it's going to be called multiple times in different ways, but I can override call type. Override call type is a nice feature specifically for situations like this where you have a variadic function, a function that can take different numbers of arguments. And it lets me say, just this time, this one time that this one's called, use this char star var 3. Oops, I told you I'm tired. It's going to be, all right. And so just this one time, change the function prototype. And now we have much cleaner decompilation, right? So Binary Ninja is no longer thinking that all these XMM things were, because it saw these values all initialized. It's like, I don't know, maybe they're arguments. Like, no, Binary Ninja, they're not. Go home, you're drunk. And so we can just tell it. Again, partly it's because it knows SNPrintf can take multiple arguments. But yeah, right click and then override call type will let you set like that instance of a call to something different. Because, you know, obviously for all the other stuff, like we know fwrite and SGTY, both the argument types. And so here's another thing too. I really like here how we actually show both. If we know, you know, SGTY takes an FD, we'll show you it takes an FD, but then we'll inline the, like, how's the FD calculator? If it's an inline value, you don't just get SGTY and then 0. You actually get, oh, it's a file descriptor of a value 0. So like the syntax is really nice. Oh, piston miner, you're right. So let's try that then. So let's go to verification and let's make that const. Which I don't remember if this works or not. I remember like there was some of these do, like you can, if you set something as const, it tells Binja like, no, treat this as a static value, even though it's in a writable section, treat it as static and propagate its analysis. So verify identity. And then this is char const star, or actually const char star username. That's probably valid. I don't know, but that's kind of weird. Const char star password. And like, let's see, we could go, okay, so this is FR Freeman. Isn't that from, what is the Half-Life? What's the name of the character? All right, so const char star Freeman. All right, so just for kicks, let's go now back and look and see after we've made a const, did that change? Now we could try Reanalyzing the function. No, it still doesn't inline these. I'm not sure why that does the difference. I think it's, I don't remember the exact details. It's like through a pointer, but I don't need to type out the name. Which names here? Yeah, Gordon Freeman, thank you. Yeah, I'm curious what you mean, Piston Miner, about when I say I don't need to type out the name. Failure. I mean, I want the name failure, right? I want that name typed out because I really want to have, like, when it gets inlined here, I want it to show up as failure or whatever, like the data reference. But anyway, all right. So it's building, like, it's just saying verification, verified identity, username, right? So it's asking for that. Like this, again, I'm going really slow here, but this is probably just going to be asking me my username and password. I know the username is probably going to be Freeman because it's just all sitting there in like the similar references here. And then this is authorized. I don't need const actually, whatever. Authorized. And oh, this is fun. With the keyboard, you can actually navigate nicely too, right? So this is fake flag. Oh, wait. It's not going to be that easy. Although maybe that's just the stage 1 flag or something. Who knows? All right, so we're going to hit Y, char star, fake flag. Oh, I got you. I see what you're saying. Yes. That's fair because I'm just changing the type, right? Because for the ones that I'd already named, right? Like if I named this garbage and I also want to change the type of it, I could just hit Y and I don't have to actually enter. I could just do char star, which is probably not. Actually, this might be like an encrypted blob or something. Oh, you know what? This is... No. It's going to write some coloring. It's going to make sure it's writing to a real file. It's going to write the string that it just made, right? Is this the string? Yeah, so this is our output buffer that it put that into. And then we're probably going to read in some... This is probably user input. Stren dupe. Yeah, this looks like we're going to read in whatever the user sent, probably. So we check in this function. Let's just look for bomb terminal stage 1. Oh, there's more to it than this. Okay. So this is also writing some output. Oh, I don't know why I'm looking at this in graph view too. Yeah, I could have just hit N to name them and then A to make them char stars. Actually, wait, no. I tried making them A. That A doesn't make them... That didn't work, Josh. That was making them... Let me see. Right, like if I go here and I hit A, that's not what I want. This is not actually a... It's not an array here. It's a pointer to a string. So if I hit here... Oh, I could have gone here and hit A. Maybe that's what you were saying. Yeah. Actually, can I select this and hit A? No. But if I go here, A, back. Here, hit A, back. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm actually making those string variables there. Yeah, I got you. That is a little nicer. And then it would have gotten oh, interesting. This one, these did have... I didn't add those, did I? No, that's funny. That was the other bit of code. So those character references were directly identified. Yeah. Hit O. I tried O, but I think I tried O in the wrong section before. So, all right. So this, just to undo, let's hit Control Shift A to copy one of these addresses. Let's open a new tab. Let's open Crazybomb again. We'll go to that address. So let's see. I should be able to hit O here. Or O here. No? Or hit O. Yeah, so this is an A. This is the string. And now make it O. There we go. But now let's look for the cross references. Okay, so I mean, I also could just like look over each of these and make like, these are obviously like strings that are null terminated, and just hitting A and 1 will actually make, in fact, I think, ooh, let's do this. Hold on. I think you can just select this whole blob and be like, yeah, that's a bunch of strings, please, and hit A. Right? Oh, that's right. Peter just said the same thing. That's funny. Yeah. I was a little slow to it, Peter, but I got there eventually. Thank you. And so now, can I select all these and hit O? Ooh. All right, so now, let's close this down. Where was my other binary which I had marked up? 12F4. Copy that address. Yeah, see, that didn't... I still didn't do what I expected for like annotating these strings. These now I can hit. I wonder if I have to reanalyze the function. I don't think so. Yeah, so maybe these are the ones I hit O on. Yeah, the block select is a really nice feature. Yeah, so like it would be nice if I could. Yeah, so if I just name these now. Right. You can hit N to authorize, N failure, N Freeman. Password. Username. Verify. Verify. Verification. And again, the fact that it's like kind of like keeps the same column, I can just go up and down and enter is pretty nice. These I made by selecting O'Brien. I selected them all and then hit O, I think. So I don't know if that, I'm not sure what the right order is there, like why would do it one way versus another. All right, there we go. So now I have, oh, interesting. Oh, this is a different one. So this is authorized. Yeah, so this is stage one. I'm redoing a lot of my analysis. I just wanted to see what like a cleaner process would be now that I'm learning how to use Binary Ninja on stream. All right, so we've got a verification, verify username. All right, so I think this is, so, oh wow, really? Oh, no, that's right. This is just the output buffer. I was thinking that was gets. That is the opposite of a problem. And so we're gonna take, this is probably maybe then our input buffer, right? That makes sense, right? Let's just call it input. I'm gonna call this one output. So again, I'm hitting N to rename it and just to see kind of how it gets cleaned up. I'm not sure, Peter, if that was to Brian or that was to me, because I think that was the order I did it, right? Like I select them all, hit A, and then I hit O. So this looks like what actually is going to then do our validates, password, verify. We're going to verify, that doesn't, oh, here's some more. Where is this coming from? Oh, verify a password. It's right up here, right? So that's nice. I can kind of see. That would be better to be folded. I wonder, there's no way to tell how to lie out. Like, please fold that. It never gets used anywhere else, but that would be nice. I don't think there's a way. Maybe there is. That's verify, and then that's password. You can see it. Right. It's the same prompts there. Like, what was this doing here? Is this actually doing anything? Like, this doesn't look like it does anything. I'm just curious. Show reflection. So let's flip that disassembly. Oh. Yeah, right. It is initializing it to 0. Okay, good. That's what I was thinking. All right, so let's keep going. This is just saying, where is it? So I'm obviously, we know the username is Freeman. We're just gonna figure out the password. So we're allocating something on the stack. It's not a pointer. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so just right off the bat, if I see something like this, like my initial reaction is to be like, let's just XOR this with OX15, right? Because you see, like, look at all these like runs of like 15s. That looks like a simple XOR key of that. So this would be funny if this is literally without actually looking at the code, but it shows off another nice feature, right? I want to be able to select all this, and I can be like, yeah, transform this with the key of OX15. 15, and do we get anything useful out? Okay, good. I'm glad I'm wrong. That would have been funny if that was right, but that's not. Or maybe it's not XOR, but like a rotate or something like that. It could be some of that. I'm betting this is like something that's going to get decrypted, and in fact this would probably be the password then. So let's look at this cross-reference. Really? What? Hold on, wait a minute, where was I? Okay, so, or maybe I'm just making wild guesses with no data to back them up. So hold on, cross-references to BA900. Just call it as in printf. Oh, that's after. It's like if it's decrypted, it's gonna happen beforehand. Because at this point, so I could load up a debugger and just break here and look and see what that thing looks like. But anyway, let's go back to here. Oh, that's, yeah. That is part of the stage 2, those little blobs. Well, that's fine. All right, so Freeman is our username. Just looking at the strings, that seems like what it kind of makes sense. We could actually look and see. Let's see, username. Well, actually, you know what we haven't looked for? We haven't found any like input from the user. So we can see, like, do we... There's a get line. Where does get line get called? Do we call that anywhere in? Okay, so this one is going to call it get line. So this is where actually our input comes in, and this is takes input. I'm gonna just call it for now. It's not a very good name for it, but I just want to see, like, are there other calls to get line? Takes input, and then this one here. Yeah, okay, and it's just gonna scanf on that. Where was the, most of this looks like boilerplate. 3 arguments. That's probably the output. Or was this one? Oh no, this is the line pointer. Okay, yeah, so this is the line that's ready. There's arg1 is where it wants to go. Okay, so oops, space. All right, so this is buff input. That just looks like that's good enough for now. So now let's look for, so stage 1 calls input. Okay, there we go. Oh, hey, sure enough, looks like our guess was right. That was the input buffer, because we can see this input function reads into the input buffer, and this is probably just the message, or no, what is that? I'm not sure what that third argument is. 1, 2, 3. Arg3. Well, it's less than 0. Just a oh, stage number. Okay, so stage number, and arg2 is mem's default value, I guess. Default, it's gonna be mem set to that. So this is our little input wrapper that they're using. Is that, actually, you know what? I bet default's a byte, and it's probably, yeah. Is it actually though that size, or is it really a byte? I just feel like that would be more likely just a single byte that gets. I don't know. I'm getting lost in the boilerplate. This doesn't really matter so much. All right, so I think what we want to do is, let's see. We've got Freeman was the username. Where's input? Let's go back to input. So as our inputs called, we're gonna hit Shift I, or I, no, that's I's right. What view is this? Right, LL, medium, HL. All right, there we go. A little bit easier to read. So stage 1, where did our input go? Input, right, read up to 256 bytes. Oh, that's probably the default max line. That's what that is. That makes way more sense. Except, no, I thought there was a read of 40 in here earlier. Yeah, whatever. I'm not really worried about it. Stage number. Oh man, we're at time already. This has been it's been a long stream. Okay, sorry for going so slow on this, Fox, but like I'm intentionally just kind of cruising along and showing off binge features as they go versus trying to work fast on the binary. Oh, there's that value that I saw before. Oh, well, okay. So it's not XOR, is it? Right? Like, it's just subtraction. So that's for at least that little bit there, right? And if it's not like null, then keep going. So it looks like it's just gonna iterate over those. So actually, if we go here, let's see, for byte and copy as C array 8-bit elements. So, right, I'm just going through this thing here, and we're going to do it depends byte minus x15. Oops. I probably could do that with like a map or something much smarter, but what am I missing? I did the colon, didn't I? I guess I didn't. All right, so that's still not, is the ASCII printable? Oh, yeah, so map a sure. Other way around. List. Yeah, Gordon. Oh, Gordon Freeman. So one's the username, one's the password. Okay, so it was close. It wasn't XOR though, it was just subtraction. Oh, this would have been a fun one to make like a custom transform for. All right, so remember our transformation episode last week, we registered a custom transform. We could add a subtract byte one, and we do the same thing as XOR, but have it subtract a custom byte value to figure out what all these particular things are here, right? So we can, or like we can just do the same thing here. Copy as array, 8-bit elements, A equals there. Be careful not to hit up too far though, is the only thing I don't like about this. There. And then, oh, actually, well, that was not what I meant to do. That's fine. B equals A equals that. For byte in B, a.append. And now, yeah, it's gonna be a bunch of nulls. Wait. Is that right? This should be, hold on, no, something was wrong there. Maybe. What was B? So, no, something's not right here. Those should be all nulls after I subtract, right? Oh no, it's A should have them as nulls. Yeah, there we go. And now it's map A, sure. Might be able to do that in the map, but all right. Tracer pit. Okay, so there's our first flag without ever running it. So the pure static one. I mean, sure, I could have run it. I intentionally wanted to avoid ever running it, and we were able to statically get out the password. I admit that's a really easy one, but yeah, I think that's, so we're gonna I think close up the stream. Oh, man, we had 15 folks hanging out still. Thanks for sitting through that, everybody. Hopefully, if you didn't know Binary Ninja, you learned a little bit about like the UI and the workflow, and even if you did, I hope you learned a couple of things. I saw a few folks I know have been around for a while that were like, oh, that's a new feature I didn't know. All right, fine, we'll run it real quick just to show Crazybomb. Or we won't, because it wants a libc that I don't have, or a loader. So I'm not going to be able to run it, but yeah. So that was my pure static analysis approach to that one. And you know what the funny thing is, I saw that blob, and for some reason it looked like, but like that doesn't match up with, why would that have worked out to be HSCTF research? HSCTF. F and H are not the same. Something's not right there. That's weird. Was that not the same letter? Hold on. B starts as 94. No, it's a different offset. Maybe it was up here. Anyway, no big deal. Oh, right. Different brackets. Thank you, Josh. I already admitted I was tired. All right. Before I fade out entirely, thanks everybody for hanging out. Any other questions before we close out? Yeah, it's just a coincidence that when you subtract 15, it's H and F, I guess, on those brackets. That's funny though. Would love feedback from everybody if you liked the little bit of chill background music. I thought that was something new we try. And like I said, so thanks Fox for the binary. I'm gonna try to do more, like, I've got several ideas for like plugin stuff, because that's mostly what I do day to day is I'm writing plugins or tweaking things. But I'd love to do more like hands-on stuff like this, where even if I'm going slow and kind of taking my time, or I'm not the best reverse engineer, I can show you some stuff about binary energy you didn't learn. So I think that's probably what we're going to focus on the stream for a little while. We'll find some other tutorials and things. Good. Yeah, thanks, Mr. Miner. I'll go back and listen to it too. I should have like tweaked and tested my levels beforehand, but it's Monster Cat music, by the way. You can get a license pretty cheap for like some decent ambient, chill electronic music, which is cool. But awesome. Yeah, thanks for the binary, Fox. I appreciate you. I told you I would eventually get to it. It took a little bit. But yeah, everybody, thanks for chilling. We'll see you guys. Oh, if you noticed on the stream, I'm taking a week off next week, mostly just to give myself a break. We might move to like an every other week kind of schedule or something else as well too, just because it's easy to run out of ideas. But we'll definitely be back, and we'll be doing a lot more. So thanks everybody for hanging out, and we'll catch you later. See ya.